We're the voices of experiencers, and we are the experiencers of extraterrestrials. Just what's out there in the abyss, in the darkness of the unknown. It's time for disclosure and it's time for truth, because what lies in the darkness brings powerful transformation. We're the bridge between two different worlds, with one foot in this reality and one in the next. The shift is here, along with profound integration. Just who are extraterrestrials and what are their plans? It's time to find out with the Voices of Contact.
We are the voices of experiencers because we are the experiencers. It's time for disclosure and it's time for truth, because truth brings powerful transformation. And we are the voices of change. We are about evolution on an expansive level, living life without fear and becoming the bridge between two different realities. Profound evolution is here. Profound integration is here. This is the Voices of Contact. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary. I'm a channeler and psychic medium. I'm also a hypnosis regressionist for ET experiencers, and I work with MUFON doing regression work. I also work with PTSD experiencers, paranormal experiencers, and victims of crime to assist them in recall. I'm really looking forward to another amazing show tonight with our panel. I just want to say to you guys that the work that you're doing here with me is so impactful, like literally it's life-changing. And I thank you for being a part of it and being here with me. It means more than you realize to me as well as the listeners. So allow me to introduce some of my most favorite people. First, we have Deb and RJ DeRoos. They're authors, paranormal UFO researchers, and they're experiencers themselves. And they also are the founders of the Michigan UFO Contact that happens every year in Houghton Lake, Michigan at the end of September. They're owners and managers of Mystical Awakenings Radio, Mystical Awakening VODCAST on the YouTube channel, and at the Mystical Awakenings Metaphysical Store in Houghton Lake, Michigan. Last but definitely not least, we have our amazing new panelist, Deborah Jordan Cobble. She was the central figure in Bud Hopkins' international bestseller, Intruders, The Incredible Visitations at Copley Woods, which was actually made into a CBS miniseries in 1992. She's co-author of the book Abducted, The Story of the Intruders Continues, and author of Extraordinary Contact, Life Beyond Intruders. She's a former Indiana MUFON investigator and co-founder of her own paranormal group, Paranormal Underground, and host of the Midwest Paratalk podcast. With the amazing panel that we have tonight, I know that anything is possible. And we are going to get down deep into discovery and answers to what's actually really happening out there. This show is all about transmutating the light from the dark and replacing fear with knowledge. Through my regression work, I have come across amazing cases with some amazing clients. It is my passion to work with them and to help them have a better understanding of the contact they've had. Whether they were taken, have had contact in the physical realm, or through a dream state. I'm grateful that my clients have agreed to allow me to use the regressions on the Voices of Contact. Tonight, this is the place to be, because the panel breaks down the experiences, providing powerful feedback. I love it, because all the listeners get to learn and connect, and the person that I regressed walks away even more immersed in the experience with a new perspective on their contact. Literally, it's a win-win, right? This is the Voices of Contact. Hi, everyone. How are you guys?
Hey, everybody.
Good to be back.
Fabulous Michael Carter back.
Yes, 2 weeks in a
Good
row.
to be back. Good to be back.
We're so blessed. Thank you for taking the time.
Oh,
We know how busy you are.
My pleasure.
This is wonderful.
Yeah,
It
you've been
is.
out recording and going to different cities, and you've been doing all kinds of stuff.
I probably did the same thing Deb's doing
Yeah.
tonight. Well, we'll see in June, because that's when, if we're doing the same thing, it comes out. And I did a couple episodes of Ancient Aliens.
Right.
But church has been keeping me busy. And like I said, the book, I'm going to have a book signing at the church next week. Keeps me off the streets.
Now, I want to go back to last week to what you said, Michael, about having this done, this regression, and tell the people that Yeah, it was very eye-opening that you do appreciate other people more that have gone through this.
People who have
Yeah.
like you took the plunge,
Yeah,
and Mary was there, Deb is there. You got your circle of friends,
yeah,
and it took you a while,
yeah,
but now you know what people. You can always know up here, but
yeah,
now you know that it's a lonely thing.
yeah,
You're keeping it inside. Who do I tell? And like we said, I've met people who have 50, they're 65, 70 years old, and they're saying, I'm just going public with what happened to me.
yeah, yeah,
Man, that's a long time
yeah.
to
Yeah,
carry that.
I'll be 69 this year, so yeah, it's
Yeah. So, and that's painful. And it's
yeah,
a part of yourself that you got to keep because it's still taboo in a lot of places, certainly in
right,
religion, but you can lose your job. So, and you coming out like this benefits you, obviously,
yeah.
because you can lay your burden down. Um,
But benefits
and
of
it
other people.
benefits other people. Says, you
Yeah,
know what? RJ did it. Maybe I'm going to give Mary a call,
right,
or if
right.
I'm on the West Coast, maybe I'm going to call Yvonne Smith or whatever. I'm going to make that call. And so that's how the healing
Yeah,
begins. You'll
yeah.
sleep better.
I sure hope
You don't
so.
have that the post traumatic. I mean, you have it. You'll always have
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
but it's a little lighter.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And I have to say, as a spouse, it's also beneficial for
There you
me
go.
to
Amen.
realize
Amen.
what really did happen and
Amen.
how wounded that little boy is.
Well, that's the thing that you hit the nail on the head. And I do mention it in initiation, but
yeah,
more in a negative way because a lot of, but Deb, you're into metaphysics, you're an experiencer, because a lot of relationships break up
Mhm.
because of the trauma, because of the stress, or one person's growing one way, the other person's not, or they can't get in on it. And you hit the nail on the head. As a spouse, people will hear that and what you just said, Deb, and go, okay, maybe let me hang in a little longer, or let me try to understand this, as opposed to, and sometimes you got to split up. Sometimes things do happen,
yeah.
but it's definitely when you got a partner, they're affected as well.
Mhm. Yeah, and it
Especially
also
if they're not an experience.
You're gonna get it done too.
Yes, I am. I think it helps tremendously that I'm also an experiencer.
It does, because
Um,
you have the empathy. You can,
right.
you can ride that wave with them. If not,
Mhm.
because it's weird, it's high strangeness, and
Yeah.
someone who hasn't had it, they're like, "What are you not? What? I just can't. What are you talking about?" So yeah,
Right.
Yeah,
Right. I can understand. And when I read initiation, I thought about that. Two people together, if only one was an experiencer
it's
it's
and,
tough.
tough.
and the
It's
other
tough.
maybe not even a believer, how is that going to work? So, I get that. So I'm grateful that we were, brought together both as experiencers.
Yeah.
Now I can tell people I married an alien. It's okay.
Me too.
All right.
Yep, we both did.
So we're just going to pick up where we left off last week's show.
Okay.
We're still doing RJ's regression, but at this point, we actually tap into the subconscious, which has a sense of humor, and you can hear his voice change a little bit to that humor in general. So on this first clip, I asked what RJ's purpose was with having contact with ET. What is RJ's connection to extraterrestrials?
Well, he's not from here. He is part of them. I think he came here. I know he came here to bring awareness.
Where is he from if he's not from here?
Well, I think most of them are from Palladians.
When you say most of him is from the Palladians, what do you mean by that?
Well, I think there's other groups that have influenced not only him, but other people. I think these bodies are a mixture of different types of people.
So is he a mixture of different species?
I think all humans are, yes.
Yeah, and I can hear the difference in his voice.
Yep, it raises an octave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not schizophrenic.
Yes. You're not the male Sybil. You got 35 different persons.
But I did hear the change in the voice. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the different races, that's something to think about too. And
Makes you work together.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did Michael freeze?
Michael froze.
But he looks good like that.
He does.
At least he's making a cute face.
Yeah.
Michael, you got to refresh me.
Let's see if we can unfreeze him real quick. Nope, still frozen.
He's still frozen. He had really something important to say, then all of a sudden, just like that light that was in my eyes last week.
It's all his different species taking over at once.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe they did use the light, and maybe that got him.
Yeah, but I think we are a mixture of different species. I really do. Mike, you might have to refresh your computer, your internet.
Hopefully he can hear us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is really strange.
There he goes. All right, we'll let him back in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I guess it makes sense if you think about, well, like I said, in terms, if you do your genealogy, you think about all, the different countries you're from, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Each country has a form of its own species.
Right.
Just like Dolores Cannon's book said, when she was doing the regression work, and I think it was the convoluted universe, they talked about it, how we came from different ET species, and each country is from like a different type of planet or different part of space.
Yeah.
So that would make sense, to be honest.
So every time as we evolve and we reincarnate, we come back and maybe gather a little bit different DNA.
Yeah.
To learn something different.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that would make sense that that would come from different parts of the universe as well.
Yeah, well, if we have a mixture of DNA in us, DNA tells us who we are and where we came from. So we have that memory. If that is if that's activated, your DNA is active, because we have a lot of junk DNA, they call it. But I just think as we evolve, that becomes more active and it tells more who we are and where we came from.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Michael.
So we have a phone call.
Yeah, I just get a refresh. This is. Yeah, the phone thing is out. It's been outdated a long time. We do. I'm just making a joke because it's funny. I'm on talking to you and
we're live.
We're live. Yeah. So. Okay, you said give it a minute. It'll be back on.
Okay.
I think you just gotta refresh it. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen,
okay.
our first caller.
This is a first for me. This is cool. Yeah, this retrograde. You're right.
Oh, that it is.
And this is the Voices of Contact.
Yeah.
We cannot
Okay.
have 1 week
Okay.
without
something.
something.
Yeah, every time.
It's either internet's going out, Morse
Code. People
weird
talking in the
voices.
background. Yep.
Always something. Always.
So
It never fails.
And I know you do too, a lot of Zoom and things like that. And I never have these issues. It's only when we do this show.
and is it surprising? No.
No.
No. We're kind of used to it. I mean, we had one show, folks, where Michael's power went out in North Carolina, and then all of a sudden Deb Caldwell's power went out in Indiana.
Yeah.
And so that was a
within
big move
like
there. They just picked the whole power out.
Yeah. And Mary and I were blessed not too terribly long ago to go investigate Waverly Hills. And was it like that day or that week? Well, I think that week you had visitation.
Yeah, the week before. It was just a crazy. Yeah, no, it was that week. You're right.
It was that week, yeah.
Mhm.
It was a
that
crazy week.
And then the night before we met up, you had some crazy dream stuff, but wasn't dreams going on. So, yeah, I think they're very involved in our lives. So, hearing things from regressions like RJ's that many of us, many human and people that live on this planet aren't, too human, I guess kind of makes sense. Because, that connection, how do they always know when we're doing the show? How do they know when we're going to be together?
Probably because they wake me up at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right, but they always do that to one of us or both of us anytime we're going to be together. I'm starting to realize this.
Oh, he texted me and said the power went out. We'll fix it in a minute.
Oh.
See?
Yeah.
What the hell?
I know. You can't make it up.
That's right.
You just can't. So do you guys want to just move on with the next clip?
Sure.
We could.
Okay. So for this next one, this is where I ask how often ET watches RJ and why.
Good.
What is his purpose with working with extraterrestrials?
To get this planet back on track to where it's supposed to be. We're supposed to evolve and become part of this greater galactic family.
Will we become a part of the galactic family?
Yes. I think that's happening now. People don't want us to be a part of it because it takes away from their power, their greed. But they can't stop it. It's who we are.
Is he watched by ET?
Yes.
How often?
Well, he's watched all the time, as all the whole human race is.
Why do they watch RJ?
To make sure that he just talks to people, let them know that we're a part of this greater thing, to raise awareness.
So they watch him to make sure that he's spreading the message?
Yeah, pretty much.
How often has he been taken?
Well, at first it was a lot of physical stuff, but now it's done through his consciousness.
Wow. So they're always watching.
Mhm.
That kind of goes along with exactly what we were saying. How do they know when we're doing the show? Well, that's why.
Because they're already tapped in.
They're
Yeah.
tapped in.
Well, my concern is that also, people uh, that aren't extraterrestrials are checking this show out. They want to make sure that it doesn't, go a certain level. In my opinion, anyway. But and I understand that. It's a very delicate topic, a very delicate thing. So, yeah, we can't help but we're being watched. Anything that has UFOs and extraterrestrials, with it attached to it, it's going to be watched. Uh, People get paid to do that. So, so whether it be military or government, I don't know, CIA, FBI, I'm just guessing, DEO, whoever. Yeah, so we do definitely have a lot of things happen now. They took Michael out here for what?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
A while. They've been watching him for a long time because he's
As long as they've been watching you.
well. I mean, I'm just saying, he's been out in the limelight quite a bit. So
Yeah.
Well, it's just like a couple of weeks ago when I was doing all the editing and I was visited. I knew something was there. Could I directly see it? No, but I could see the outline of it and I knew it was there.
right.
And I just, you just go with the flow and it's like, forget it. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing and just ignore it. Like, what else can you do?
Yeah. Well, not too terribly long ago.
Okay, here we go.
Welcome back.
Yes.
So it took out again, huh?
Yeah, it just went out. It went out upstairs. But anyway,
We were just talking about that. Yeah.
where were we?
We were talking about how ET often now visits us through consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it
Yeah.
does. Oh, we were talking about the hybrid thing. About Deb said different races. That was interesting. But remember, it's always been, in the Bible and before, these different beings were mating with, different human beings.
Yeah.
But also, that the whole laboratory in Genesis
Yeah.
and what have you, because they all weren't, grays or reptilian. I mean, they were certainly that. Some of them were those folks in India. They were blue. Maybe they were Arcturians. So this hybridization has been going on since time. So if over the course of time we have been rebooted and tinkered with by different races, that automatically makes us part of different races. Now, even without that, even if there was no, the same elements that are in the stars and the ocean and the earth, all that's found in our bodies. So we really are made of star stuff.
Yeah.
But if you want to go back genetically, all our sacred texts, the Mayan Popol Vuh, the Upanishads, the Dhammapada, the Hebrew scriptures, the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Enu Emilis, they all talk about that we were tinkered with
Yeah.
and created. So that makes us, by default, there's star stuff in us.
Michael, you remember I was talking to you last week about I had this theory about the Earth and the history of it, what happened. The dinosaurs.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it yet. We were
Yeah.
going to talk about it.
The dinosaurs. I obviously think the reptilians had a stake here with the dinosaurs, and that was
Definitely.
And I think they were wiped out because there's been wars supposedly going on between reptilians and mammalians and grays, whatever, for a long time. And I think we talked about the Lyrans or Lyrans. They were called them the builder race. And I think after the dinosaurs were taken out, I think they were here starting the mammal movement, genetically, and because all of a sudden mammals started appearing, right? And after the dinosaurs. And I think even even the beginning of a hominid creature was started then, and they left. And I think people have come and tinkered with this genetic, original genetic experiment on the mammals, and I think we've been tinkered with ever since. And I think the Anunnaki also tinkered with it too. You know, because back then, when they say 450,000 years ago they were here, but what was around here? Cro-Magnon man and Neanderthal, not Homo
Well, see
sapiens.
that's yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that what we're learning in archaeology is that it's not linear.
No,
So it wasn't like this. It wasn't
right.
step by step by step.
It's whatever they made.
And and again, going back to Plato, where there's always been these natural catastrophes every 5,000 years.
Yeah.
Whoever's doing the rebooting, maybe they're doing it together, maybe, and so we're finding out that this linear kind of perspective of history and evolution it just doesn't hold water.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
And so that's just as plausible as any other, because because of when the invasion happened, different star races had different parts of the planet. So one thing may be certain. One thing is certain: the memories that our ancestors have are beings coming from the sky and creating and teaching.
Right.
That we can agree on. Now, what race they were, we don't know.
Because the Anunnaki, the Anunnaki means those who came from heaven, but it could have been all kinds of people.
Well, but they're different names, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the Hebrews call them the Nephilim.
Yeah.
Okay, the Greeks call them the Titans.
Yeah.
The Popol Vuh have another name. They have another name for them.
Yeah.
But one thing is for certain, and obviously they're different races because we look different too, and migratory patterns and what have you.
Yeah.
But one thing is for certain: there was an invasion, and we were created, and some of us. Stitchin talks about the wars of gods and men. If I got Jerusalem, then I get the people in Jerusalem too. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone in India will get the people in Sri Lanka or what have you. And they fought with each other because a lot of them were warlike. And whatever God you worshipped, that's the God you fought for.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but we've all been upgraded and downgraded, and you see it in the Bible about how some of them wanted us to be so stupid that we didn't even know we were naked, and some people, and in the Tower of Babel, we don't want them to have that. They're becoming like us. They're a nuisance. They multiply. We got to stop this. Let's screw up the languages. And then there's some who come in your hour of need. Maybe they got a message for you, or they save you like they did Daniel in the lion's den, or that kind of thing. But this whole hybridization thing it's been going on since the beginning of time.
Right. And I think that's, we played a clip while you were gone, and I was basically just talking about how they've been watching this forever. And I think that ties in that they're paying attention to what goes on here, and the progress and the hybrid system and what we were, what we are now, and what we're going to be. And I think they have a hand in it. And but I think the ultimate goal is for us to take control of our own destiny and become part of that galactic family. So.
Yeah. I mean, our ancestors did that. They did that with Yahweh. When they elected Saul king. Saul was the first human king of the Hebrews. Now, they fired Yahweh, but Yahweh didn't leave. He just, wherever he went, he was still pulling strings in their foreign policy. But that's the other clue, that how can you fire God? If Yahweh's God and all these people believe that, why would they fire him? Why would people say, we don't want Yahweh anymore, we want Saul? So there's these clues there. And, they don't bring it up. I don't know if you saw last week, Senator Tim Burchett, he was on News Nation, and he got permission to say this, but he said that for him as a man of faith, he's Republican from the state of Tennessee, that he believes that UFOs are all in the Bible. Now, this is big. Now, the other news stations didn't carry it. But here is a Republican senator, he's a senator. And and he got on national airwaves and said that him believing in UFOs in the Bible does not affect his Christian faith. I wish they had a minister on talking about it. It could have been me or just somebody, but that's part of the narrative too. Only the government can tell you what's going on.
But like you said,
and it was a boring. It was boring. He had this Catholic brother on. I have his book. He doesn't believe that he believes God is not he's not really into UFOs. He follows the Catholic line. Very respectful conversation. But for Tim Burchett, who's trying to push disclosure along with David Grush, he's one of those folks. But for a United States senator to come out and say this, you think it would make headlines.
20 years ago, he would have been taken away in a straitjacket.
Hush, hush, yeah. Or just never found again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or never reelected, that's for sure.
Yeah. But it was on News Nation. You can probably still get it. It was boring. He did, because they didn't go into what we talk about. They were just going picking out verses from the Bible, the King James Bible. But this is disclosure. This is disclosure. It's not Trump or Biden or RFK, whoever wins, coming out and saying, guess what? Because you can't. No one's going to say that. It's career suicide. And then you got to tell people that you murdered people too, that some people had to lose their life being in the wrong place at the wrong time, knowing too much. We had to kill Marilyn Monroe, guys. I'm sorry. What an actress. What a body. But you know what? She knew too much. You know what I'm saying? No one's going to say that. No one's going to say, you know what? We signed a treaty. Yes, we broke the Constitution, but that's career suicide. But when you have Hayam Ashad, when you have, brother Nolan, when you have Tim Burchett, when you have Edgar Mitchell, when you have these people who's been, Paul Hellyer, Putin's friend, his buddy in crime, Dmitry Medvedev, on a hot mic, we talked about that. They're not locked up.
No.
They're not locked up.
No.
And they come out and say, we got a base on Mars. We've been doing this for 70 plus years. Israel, United States, and other countries in a galactic federation. These are high-ranking military political figures, and they're not in jail. They're not locked up.
What's funny is nobody's blinking an eye when they say it.
I know.
What?
I know. It's amazing. Well, cognitive dissonance. But this is disclosure.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not be the way we want, but who's going to come out and say? And the other thing is this, and we talked about this, gang. We touched on it. If Hayam Ashad is right, he was the Brigadier General for Space Security for Israel.
Right.
So back in 2020, he said that there was a galactic federation.
Yeah.
He also said that there are extraterrestrials who don't want disclosure.
Yeah.
Because he said, they say we're not ready yet. They weren't talking about consciousness. He talked about that we don't know what space is yet. We're just getting it. Space has mass. It's material. It's not just like this whole linear. And when we become a spacefaring civilization, then some of these beings are saying, then we can have disclosure. My point in saying all this is we get angry at the politicians because we think they have all this juice, and they do, some of them. But they're probably getting their orders from extraterrestrials. And if they're extraterrestrials, so they're talking about us. They're talking about planet Earth.
Yeah.
One day we want to be at the table talking about ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't need you talking for us.
Yeah.
That's hopefully that day will come in our lifetime. But if you listen to what they're saying we get together and we talk. We don't know what treaties we've made after Eisenhower. We don't know. And no one's going to come out and say that. But that means we're being talked about. But it may not just be up to Elizondo and Bush, or it may not be up to them.
No,
It may
no.
be up to the extraterrestrial overseers,
I firmly
because you're
believe
kidding yourself if you
Yeah.
don't think that they're behind me some
Yeah.
of these things.
that. They'll let us know when we can do it.
When they think we're ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. When we're ready enough to not do harm.
Is RJ's higher
Come on.
consciousness?
Well, they didn't, but Deb, they didn't say not do harm, at least according to Ashad. I agree with you. That I'm sure that's a factor in. But according to Ashad, it's when we reach a certain technological level,
Yeah.
when we really know what space is, when we really know what time space is and how to work with these isotopes, and
Divine science.
then some of these beings are saying, then maybe we'll let them in.
All
But we
right.
don't want that, we won't. I don't want these leaders. I want people to be involved. Anyway, here we go.
For this next clip, we ask RJ's subconscious what the metallic being was. In the first part of his regression, we asked exactly what that being was.
I remember this.
What do you mean it's done through his consciousness?
The body doesn't have to be involved. It's just they're communicating with him, constantly talking to him, make sure that he's getting the right information.
Does he know it's them when they do that?
Usually, yes.
How does he know?
It's just a feeling that he gets, that he's resonating, or his body's vibrating with that frequency that they promote, that they bring, and it's a higher awareness. It's knowledge from other places that seems to resonate with a lot of people.
What was the metallic being that RJ saw when he was 9?
Oh, he was just a robot. He was just working for another group.
Oh.
I think they were called the El Mayuks.
The Almayuks?
Yeah, it's and the tall grays.
What was the purpose of sending a robot to get RJ?
Because they're not affected by our atmosphere and it's pretty complicated to come here and be safe health-wise.
Okay.
So they send these beings to pick him up.
Makes sense.
It does. It does.
Yeah, I think once we get going too, like out there, spacefaring beings, we'll have we might be sending robots too down to, or androids down to the surface and checking things out for us before we see it's all right. We what's going on, and we do that now even with like sending things to Mars, and of course that's way. I mean, in my opinion, we've already been there, but just to send something there to check it out before any harm can come to our being or our physical self, whatever.
Yeah, and they do those probes and things.
Yeah.
What's interesting is we probably, if what Hayam Mashed is saying is true, we probably already have that kind of technology. It's just that it's not made public.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're telling us, they're showing us their kind of primitive technology. But what they really have, I mean, if what he says is true, and their base is on Mars and the Moon, then there's technology that it's really, it would probably blow us away.
Yeah.
But it's just kept secret.
Oh yeah, I believe that. And it's interesting in doing this show, hearing different regressions, including this one, to see the evolution in how people are taken. Because, back then, RJ was 9. And the clip that you missed, Michael, Mary had asked about how many times he was taken or how often. And he commented that they used to take him more often physically, but now it's more consciously. So, the evolution and for them as well and how they interact with us. I don't think that they always need to send a robot anymore. A lot of times we see beings, but are we seeing them? Are they here physically, or are we connecting consciously? And we see them, they see us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But again, I want to reiterate that when you look at the people in the Bible who are having visions and dreams, that's consciousness.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
So I don't know if it's their evolution. I'm sure they've evolved. I mean, their technology, but they've always been able to do this. Now maybe I don't know. I just feel like it's like, okay, I noticed with me, I was starting, for a good many years, I was having physical visits. Then I started having them in my dream world or in my meditation world. So I'm not saying, I don't think it wasn't that they couldn't do it before without coming to my room. It's just that they chose a different way
Yeah.
to do it. And it could be for many reasons. You don't have to risk getting shot down or having jets come after you. You don't have to, you know what I mean? You don't have to risk people panic. I don't know. I'm just out of the
Yeah.
top
Well,
of my
that makes
head.
sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Many.
But
I think,
know.
at the beginning, I think they were concerned that I just mature, my body matures right.
Yeah.
And that I'm just going to reach that pinnacle where I can start being just consciously aware, reach adulthood, whatever, puberty, whatever it is, and, that I'm progressing, and they wanted to check on that a few times, my physical self and what was going on, and
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
I
no
think
doubt.
they always have the way to, Native Americans talk about star people and how powerful the dreams and stuff are. If I can reach you in your dream, I just got a whole, menagerie. I can dream, you can come to a dream. I can come get you, pick you up. You know what I mean?
out of body
I think
experience.
they always had that
Right.
because you look in the biblical text and even before, they're meeting people on so many ways. That it's just that's they're advanced. They're definitely evolved.
Right. Right. Yeah, I have no doubt that they've always been able to do exactly that. But for some reason, many of the regressions that we do with people around our age or within 20 years of our age are more similar. They're different. They're different regressions, different experiences than many of the younger people that are regressed now. A lot of their contact is sweet and just very different, not as frightening, things like that. It's not that they didn't have the technology, but it was done differently for whatever reason in that time period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So for this next clip, we asked why RJ sees lights in the sky all the time.
When RJ sees the lights in the sky, what is he seeing?
Well, they're letting know that they're there everywhere. That if we only could see what's really there, I mean, we're being watched. We're being observed. We're important to them. We are a part of them.
Why has a good part of RJ's family had experiences with ET?
Because it's easier that way to keep those souls and consciousnesses together during lifetimes so that they can communicate and understand one another easily. There's less friction, there's less complications. And they want it that way.
Sort of like it's all the same, it's same familiar energy.
Yeah, same frequencies.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I was saying at the very end that makes sense.
And because I tell the audience, my family we've all had experiences, and except for my dad, I don't know if he did or not, but he wasn't opposed to it at all. He wasn't anybody that he was a very smart man, but he didn't talk about it much. But my mother and my brothers did, and so it was easier for us to express ourselves within our family and talk about it. So I mean, whether I had a choice in that or they did, it was done, and I think it's done in a lot of families, like we talked about, have experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in generations. Yeah.
The whole generational experiencers is quite common.
That's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know my grandfathers. Both my grandfathers died when I was 2 or 2.5, and my grandmothers never talked about it. So no, I did have one aunt that she's still alive that talked about it, but our family did for sure. My immediate family.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's that thing about keeping it secret. And you have to. We're not going to talk about this. You know what I mean? And so you go around, something's not right, something's going on, and you can't talk about it. And you just carry it with you until some people never get it off their chest.
I looked so forward to Christmas when my brother came to California, because all my brothers, we just got together and just let it all out, what was going on, and he would bring me the newest information, because California was like light years ahead of us as far as what was going on, and it was cool.
Yeah. Imagine if you didn't have that.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine if you didn't have that.
Exactly.
And my family didn't really talk about it.
Well, I told you that one experience he had in the desert, when we laughed our butts off for the whole conference, because he was sleeping in the desert one night, and reptilian came. He says, "Oh no, not today. This is not going to happen today."
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yes.
He says, "Go away. I'm not ready.
Not today. Not today.
Not today."
So, Michael, you've been an experiencer for years. Did your family? Do you know if other people in your family were experiencers?
Yeah. My mom, when I was telling her about my experiences, she alluded to some things that sounded to me like a contact experience, but she just stopped short. And my mom was a very fearful woman. She was a very intuitive woman, I would say psychic, but she was afraid of it. Part of it was she was just a person who lived very fearfully. Part of it was religious stuff.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I remember. I was trying to tell her some of the things that have happened, and she was telling me some things, and it sounded like that she was an experiencer, but I'll never know for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I think that was common, especially, in the age that
In that
we grew up.
generation, yeah.
Mhm.
Who are you going to tell
Yeah.
that to?
Yeah, I know in my heart that my mom as well had experiences, but would she talk about it?
No.
She was
Don't know
also
how
a
to talk
medium,
about it.
and she was what I call a closet medium because she couldn't tell anybody.
Hmm.
There was
Right,
a
right. That's
small
what, yeah.
group of people that knew. Certain people would sneak in the back door after Dad would go to work because my dad didn't even know.
Hmm.
He was very religious, and you don't talk about those things.
You don't talk about it, not publicly.
Right.
And that goes back to centuries ago where if you were red hair and you were a witch and if you got some psychic ability and you're a warlock or whatever, and people lost their lives. So what they did was they just went underground with it. Same thing with religion. you
Mhm.
know on the outside it looks like we're having a Catholic mass uh, uh, for the first harvest, and really you are celebrating Asherah, and she's the queen of heaven, and she comes down from the sky, but you can't go there. You have to put this front on because your reputation and sometimes your life was at stake.
Mhm.
And
But
there's
the powerful thing is this knowledge always resurfaces. You can never kill it off.
Mhm.
and there's lots of
It just
bunnies and
goes
eggs.
just goes underground.
There's lots of bunnies and eggs. Reproduce.
Yes.
All right. So for this very last clip, I saved it for last because it's my favorite.
Yeah.
And so if you remember last week's episode, we talked about RJ's implants. And so there is a connection between those implants and something that happened with RJ when he was right around 32. So give me one moment.
What other kind of contact has RJ had?
Well, there's different beings that work together out there, different races. He's seen them. He's been with them. He's part of them, as many people are. But it's tricky. When you're on this planet, when you incarnate on this planet, everybody's not on the same vibration. You have to be careful. You have to get in touch with the right people, or else nobody's going to believe you anyway.
Has RJ ever reincarnated on a different planet?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's like most people. He's been on other planets. Yeah, a lot of planets. There's so many of them.
And does RJ still have his implants?
No.
How long has it been since he's had them?
Well, in Earth time, I think they were removed when he was in his 30s.
Is there a connection between the implants and his asthma?
Possibly. I do think there's side effects.
Because RJ told me right around 32, his asthma went away. Is there a connection?
Oh, yeah, that's a big possibility because yeah, he did get rid of his allergies when he was about 32. So yes, there's a connection there.
And I even forgot that part.
Yeah, I remember that. I had asthma as a kid, but I had horrible allergies during the fall, and I was impossible to live around. I mean, it was horrible. I had to be in the air conditioned room and take all kinds of Benadryls, and and I was just a zombie. But I had asked. I said, "Listen, I can't do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore." And about 32, all of a sudden, the fall came, and I was like, "What? What?" And now that I tie it in with this regression, that I got some implants removed. I was trying to say that I think these implants cause problems, physical problems. I mean, they're good for whatever reason they put them in, but I think they cause problems, physical, and there's side effects from them. So that's what I was trying to convey.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I remember Michael as well. It was a past show, maybe about a year ago, that many of us experiencers have asthma. We talked about the difference in the atmosphere, but it could be from other things as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's there. I can relate because I still get my shots for it. It's very, it's under control, but
Yeah.
I'd use that. I have to get shots.
Yeah.
What was that book that was out many years ago? The Aliens and the Scalpel. Do you remember that? You can still get it, I guess, on Amazon. I forgot the doctor's name, but he made a name for himself. He was a surgeon, and he would remove these implants. Now, some of the implants, they were made of kind of like a natural thing. They would just dissolve.
Yeah.
After a long period of time.
But they were exposed to air, yeah. Exposed to air, yeah.
But there was something natural about it that for the human body.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Now, that they wouldn't have any side effects.
Okay.
Per se. But yeah, I remember that book. It's called The Aliens and the Scalpel.
Yeah.
I'll be looking for it.
Yeah, you can. It's old. You can get it. I don't know how much it would be now. The surgeon has died, but people would come to him with these implants.
Yeah, I saw that. It was on TV too. Yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting. Huh. Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where, again, maybe it's more evolved technology or not, but because they can also track you without implants. You can be tracked without an implant with your signature. You can do. I mean, you can do that here. With the technology we have now, your heat signature that your body gives off. The military uses it as well.
Right.
But yeah, I think his last name was Lear, Leir or something, or Lier. Yeah. It's called The Aliens and the Scalpel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was really interesting. A few nights ago, I had dinner with two sisters who grew up in a paranormal home. They said it was constant activity. They were seeing ghosts. Well, as we were talking, the one sister said, yeah, they were about so high, and this is what they looked like. And the other sister looked at me and said, do you think that was ghost, or do you think that was aliens? So the three of us got talking about it, and the one sister said, well, I've always had this thing on my arm with 4 dots, like a little square, and there's this something in there, and sometimes it'll raise up higher, and sometimes not so bad, but I can feel it move. And I thought, I wonder how many people go through this with implants or with contact and think it's so paranormal, or they're seeing spirits or something.
Well, but the other thing too, because I got stuff in my body too that sometimes I'm like, what is that? That doesn't feel natural. But to me, it's almost like, but I don't want to be cut on, whatever it is. But again, it's almost like if I decide to do this, it's like a regression. Do I really want to have this thing cut out? And I get some news I don't want to hear. And some people just say, whatever it is, I'll just keep it in.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just like some people say with regression. I mean, I got stuff I just don't want to cut out, and I'm it's whatever it is. But there's sometimes I feel stuff like, wait, that doesn't feel really natural. And so, or it'll move to another part of the body. But I'm like, at this late date, whatever it is, it is.
Right.
But you get that kind of thing, you know. Do I really want to? I mean, I don't care now. I'm an experiencer. I know I don't have any doubts and whatever. But if you're not, sure, you know, once you go that route, and that's different than